Alright, I just brought a few small engine things inside the garage to fix them tonight. Alright, so let's start on this four-wheeler first. Alright, so the story with this is, that guy I just fixed that driveway for bought a house. This came with the house. Supposedly this has been sitting for a while. It ran a little bit. Well, the battery's dead now too, but it runs a little bit, but then it dies. I think it's just got, the carburetor probably just needs to be blown out. So that should be an easy fix on this. Alright, let's see if any mice got in this air filter first. No, that looks good. Is it missing something? No, okay. That's how it sits. Alright, I'll charge this up. Let me put it on 15 amps. You know, I feel like this thing's just out of gas. I mean, there's gas in there, but it's... I don't think this thing's broken. I'm just gonna bump it up to 50 amps. I bet you this thing starts. Let's see. I think it was just out of gas. Let's drive it around for a while just to make sure it's working. Here, before we do that, let's just make sure it's got oil in it. It's good. And it looks nice and clean also. This thing runs good. This thing runs perfect. There's nothing wrong with this. The one thing it does need though, these tires, they're hard as a rock. There's probably 30 psi in them. On an ATV, you only want like 3 psi in the tires. See, it says 3.2 and 3.6. On an ATV, the tires are what gives it a lot of its suspension. You know, when these are, you could ride this thing around. It rides so rough. Alright, I brought it back in the garage. A lot of mosquitoes outside. So, yeah, the gauge, I mean, it's 30 psi. So an easier way, so you don't have to hold that thing the whole time, is this tool here. That can be used to let air out of it. A little bit more. Actually, alright, so me pushing about as hard as I can. That's probably about perfect right there. Having the tire pressure right on an ATV is critical. It makes such a big difference to have them the right PSI. So I could try to check it with this, but you know, the needle doesn't even go low enough. This goes up to 160 PSI. Alright, so they sell low PSI tire pressure gauges. That's what this is. So instead of it being in like 10, 20, 30 increments, this one's like, you know, this one only goes up to 20 PSI. Alright, so that says we're at 8 PSI. I have a hard time believing that. Maybe. Let me get it down a little lower. It's 6.5. It's 5.5. You know, these tires are so thin. That's at 5.5 psi, but that's good right there. 3 3 would be too low with these tires. Now, if you had like some big mud tires on this thing, you know, with really heavy sidewalls, you know, some of those tires, like, you know, they're like tractor tires, and you could have almost no air in them and they'd still be hard. So, alright, well, that last tire is deflating. I'm going to bring this back to the guy who owns it. He lives pretty close by. I could just throw it on a trailer, but you know what would be funnier? I have all these scooters just up here like they're decorations, but I used to ride these, before I had my driver's license, I used to ride these scooters everywhere. These GoPed scooters, these things are cool because they fold up. Let's see if this will start up, and I'll use this to ride that home when I drop off the ATV. Alright, it's been probably 10 years since I started this thing. It'd be pretty impressive if it started right up. And I might have drained the gas out of this when I stopped using it. I don't know. Alright, so this folds up like that. This primer bulb right here. Oh, the primer's hard as a rock. Oh, it needs a primer. I ain't gonna run. I'm gonna drain that gas back out of there. Alright, let me try this one. This one, I bought this one at a yard sale and redid the whole... Alright, so I should ride this thing around for longer than 5 minutes just to make sure it's actually fixed. Yeah, this thing is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. I like this thing with the automatic. It's nice. You don't have to shift or anything. All you gotta do is hit the gas. It's cool. Alright, well that was easy. But, you know, that's good news that it wasn't actually broken. So, I don't know if that really counts as a repair. But, well, at least the thing is working now. So, alright, let's, I'm gonna drive this back to that guy's house. Since I'm messing with scooters, this little motorcycle's been sitting up here like a decoration for years. Let me get that down and see if that will run. Alright, I just put air in the tires. Just put a little gas in this thing and see if it'll start up. I remember this ran last time I used it. Alright, choke on. Yeah! Oh wait. Hang on, it'll go. Alright, let's get it outside. This thing's gonna run. These tires are pretty slick. We need to take this on some blacktop. Alright, yeah, this thing's running good. I'll put a link in the description for these. I remember years ago my friends and I all bought these because they were so cheap. They were like $200 free shipping. And it goes like 30 miles an hour, which feels like 100 on this thing. Alright, let's see if we can get this scooter running again. So, here's our bad culprit here, this primer bulb. The rubber on it is like hard and brittle and just broke apart. Wait, this whole carburetor keeps coming apart. Alright, so we got a new primer bulb here. Pull that one out. That one goes in. Look at that. That's good. Alright, let's put it back together. Alright, let's put the choke on. Let's see if it starts up. You know what I always loved about these scooters is the way you could just carry them and how they unfolded. And you could just compression start these too. Yeah, this one runs good. Alright, here's the one with the bad gas tank. So I just got a new gas tank for it. Looks like it's the same part. That's nice, it's got the fuel lines already in it. Alright, looks like they got the blue one is supposed to be the in. starting this one outside. Alright, so this scooter here, the motor on it, it wants to run, but it's just like so hard to pull over. So something's like binding up that motor. So let's take it apart and see what's going on here. You know what, I think here's the culprit right here. This bearing, it looks like seized up. Yeah, when I go to even try to turn it, it's... Alright, so I think that's the issue. Runs away. Why is it running away? Alright, I'm noticing these holes are threaded here to push out this bearing. I just got this new drive spindle in the mail, so I'm not even going to bother with this third bearing support. This was an aftermarket accessory anyway, and it really doesn't need it. So here is the original drive spindle, and it's the original size. It's a little bit smaller. Actually, it doesn't. Well, maybe it's the same size. Huh, thought that would be smaller. I guess I could have just bought this. Alright, whatever. Alright, so this scooter, it's just like a direct drive. That drive spindle here just rubs on that wheel, and that's what makes it move. Now, it's important that you're supposed to have, I think it's 70 pounds of pressure from this wheel onto that spindle. Because if it's more, I've seen these motors break on these things. And then you got to either change the motor or the crankshaft. If you put this on right, you don't need it. Alright, so the way they recommend doing this is to kind of kneel on it and then tighten it up. Make sure you have that on it too. Alright, and the engine was running away before, but I got it returning all the way now, so see if this starts up. That's running. Let's try it outside. Let's test this out outside. Alright, so these scooters are both running well, that's good. While I'm talking about these scooters, I should talk about the first one of them I got. So when I was 13 or 14 years old, before I had my driver's license, I always had three-wheelers and four-wheelers, but you really weren't supposed to ride them on the road. I got one of these scooters, and I rode that thing everywhere. It was this red one here, and then a few of my friends bought them, and it was just, I had the most fun on those scooters because it was like having a vehicle that you could actually get places on before having a car. So here's a few photos of me riding it when I was, I don't know, probably 13 or 14 here. And that one I had put like that extra exhaust on it and stuff to make it faster. This one here, I actually fixed this for someone probably over 6 years ago, and I told him when I fixed it, I said, try not to hit rocks with it because the blade, I had to weld the blade to it because the bolt had broken, someone else had broken the bolt off in here. I couldn't get it out, and the mower would have been garbage otherwise, so I just welded it all together, and it's lasted a long time, but you see what happens. So let's see if we can save this. Alright, that's not exactly the right way to fix it, but that should work. Let's start it up and see if it shakes. Oh, I forgot this fell off too, hang on. You know, really, it needs this bracket. I don't think I have one though. Alright, so here's the chainsaw that I use all the time. I bought this new right after Hurricane Irene. The pull rope just broke. So I have this roll of rope that I use for push mowers. Now the diameter of this rope is slightly larger than what was in it, but let's see if that works. Alright, so the old rope is out of there. Alright, you don't want to take this apart any further. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. All you do now is you wind this up all the way. Alright, you know, I don't want to go through this way, but it's just easier. The way you do this, you want to make sure, you know, you don't have like this much rope hanging out of the pull rope all the time. That's annoying. But you also don't want to make, you also want to make sure you have enough rope to pull it. It's annoying when you pull it and it just stops. So, you know, one way to kind of test it, I'll just pull it. And, well, with this fat rope, that's all I'm getting on there. So I'm going to cut this, you know, probably right around here. So pull this out a little bit. So it's nice to use a clamp like this, so you're not stuck holding the rope the whole time. Because, alright, that should be good. Let's put this back on. Let's just tighten that up while we're at it. And it still looks plenty sharp. that seems pretty good. With that thicker rope, it does feel like the pull is a drop shorter, but it's still, you know, totally acceptable. This saw starts easy. If I have to do it again, I'll probably just get the next smaller size rope, but it's certainly fine like this. Alright, so I just dropped off that four-wheeler to that guy, and then he gave me this to fix. Alright, let's check the gas, because that'd be pretty funny if there's no gas in it. That's got gas in it, okay. So, these are a pretty easy fix. It's usually just this diaphragm goes bad. Filter off, filter looks good. So there's our bad diaphragm right there. Alright, let's see if it starts up. So you do primes. You do two slow ones and then one fast one on these. And the fast one shoots a jet of gas into the engine. And that thing is shaking itself apart. Ah, we got a bent crank. So I'm going to pull the spark plug wire off. So you can see, I don't know if you're at the best angle, but can you see this shaft right here is bent? Alright. That's alright, we can save this. Alright, so this is, you can see how much this is bent. See, this is bent upwards, so pretty much hammer and it usually will fix this. Alright, try to pull it now. Alright, that's much better. Alright, so you can see it's still bent. Alright, let's go a little more with it. Alright, pull it. Alright, stop. Alright, pull it. Alright, stop. Alright, pull. Alright, so that looks pretty good. That's about as straight as it's gonna get. Alright, that's fine. It's fine. Alright, so that's, let's start it up and see how much it shakes. So that should run a little smoother once it's been running a while, you know, the oil got mixed around or whatever, but it wasn't shaking all over the place, so that's good. So this is fixed. Alright, that's definitely fixed. That's not shaking too much anymore. So it's definitely important with these not to hit rocks. Alright, let's see if we can get this running. Alright, this was something I grabbed off the side of the road, had a free sign on it. Now I can see already that this cable is broken. That would be neat if that was the only reason they threw this out. So I'll show. So these cables, you can obviously replace these, but I'll show you a free way to change this instead. All right, so we'll pull this off from the bottom here. All right, now let's just spray some oil down through that thing. All right, now we can take a roll of mechanics wire here and just feed it down through this pipe. All right, now I got that through. I can pull it. All right, that's plenty. All right, so you take this cable here. Tie it to the spot where it used to go. Alright, sometimes I'll put a little shrink tubing on it. It looks cleaner. So put that there, pull the bail up. And then you just kind of want to test it, like pull this down. Make sure it's actually pulling it enough so you can pull this a little tighter here. Alright, that's working nice. Alright, that's good. That works very smoothly. Alright, let's see if this will start without having to do too much to it. So let me just check the oil first. That's good. Looks nice and clean. It's at the right spot. Oh, wow. Alright, this gas tank needs attention. See, I don't know about this one. Alright, so this is the part that's always bad. Before getting too far into this, you can see right here, that's a hole. So this gas tank is garbage. Alright, I just found this other gas tank out on a parts mower. You see, that's in much better shape. Alright, so let's see what's in here. So it's easy to dump it in a glass container and see what's going on. Alright, so that's what was in there. That looks like gas. Now you can tell it's gas because if there was water in there, the water and gas would separate. Gas is probably old, so it's no good, but I'll show you what I mean. I'll add some water to it, and I'll show you what happens. See how they just don't mix? Now, see how there's a clear layer of water and then a layer of gas on top of it. Alright, and to get these clean sometimes, you can stick a rag down in there. And then blow it all over the place. Alright, I can see down in this tank. That's clean enough. Alright, so there's our part. So I'm going to use the carburetor from the other one. It looks better. Well, the primer doesn't have a hole in it, so. Alright, that should be good. Alright, let's see if this runs. Full of water. Alright, when it won't rev up like that, that means this thing here, that's what gives it its throttle, that spring, it's out of adjustment. So I'm going to start it up, clamp it. Alright, it's running, but it's not really, it doesn't really have full power. I wonder if that's doing it. You know, let me just try a new air filter before I change the carburetor. You know, that's better, but that's still not running right. Alright, so this and this are different. So they'll change these. What you do is you pull this out, yeah, and then pull that out. Alright, this lawnmower is running well now. Alright, let's try to get this running. The story that came with this supposedly ran, and then it sat for a couple years. So hopefully it's not that broken. So let's first start on these flat tires. Alright, these tires, you know, I'm sure I could get air in this again, and it'd probably leak out in a few days. Some people would change this. I think that's a waste. Usually this stuff here fixes these tires with the slow leaks. You know, once you put this in it, they're fine for years. And it's easy to do, so. I got it. Alright, to tell the year of these things, on the Briggs & Stratton motors, the first two numbers of the last number are the year. So you can see that makes this one a 93. So you can see these tires, they have little cracks in them from dry rot, but you know, that slime will fix that right up. Look at this leak right there. So you can see it spraying soap on it. Watch, I'll roll this backwards so the slime gets to it, and it will stop. Alright, I could hear the tire leaking before. There's nothing now. You can see in all these dry rot cracks, blowing all this soap, there's no bubbles coming out, so that's fixed. Alright, so let's try to get this motor running now. So before I take it all apart and mess with it, let's just see if it will start. Alright, oil looks clean, but it's low. It's down on add. It's probably down half a quart. Now let's check the air filter. Now you always want to make sure, looking for mice on these. So mice like to get in the air filters, and they like to get under these engine covers. And you can usually tell if they're under the engine cover, like when you go to turn it over, you see a bunch of, you know, mice nest stuff hanging out of it. And it's really important to get that out of there, because what will happen is it will make this overheat because the air can't flow through it properly. And when these overheat, I mean, generally motors hate that. What kind of happens on these first are like the valve seats pop out. Alright, that filter looks fine. It's not all chewed up, doesn't look dirty. Foam is missing around it. I have one here, it's a used one, but it's good enough. Alright, so a previous owner to this thing did something interesting with this battery. So this originally took like this weird rectangle shaped battery, and those rectangle batteries are like 3 times the price of these. These are the standard batteries. Usually when I would get these lawnmowers is I would cut out this area down in here and take some sheet metal and get this battery to fit down in there so you don't have to buy those expensive batteries. But someone else did this. That's good enough. So I had a trickle charger on this for a couple days, 2 amps. Let's see if it charged up. I think this is gonna start. It runs. It wants a little bit of choke. Usually that means the carburetor is a little bit dirty, but I'm gonna take this outside and try mowing with it, and it may clear itself up. If not, like if something's runs but it needs the choke pulled, that means the carburetor's dirty. But let's take this outside and give it a try. Alright, this lawn tractor's running pretty well now. One thing I really like about these lawnmowers, these tractors will do a really good job clearing leaves off a lawn because they can go the same speed backwards as they can forward. And with that is you can mow, forward, backwards, forwards, backwards, and just blow all the leaves one direction. I'll show you. So the way the transmission works on this thing, it's like a variable belt drive, and the right side here is like the speed, and you can put it all the way in 7. And the other thing is nice is pushing the clutch in halfway doesn't just disengage the clutch, it actually gears the machine down. So you can be going fast and just step on the clutch halfway and jump down to a lower gear ratio to slow down for hills or turns. The other thing is you can go just as fast in reverse. Watch how fast this thing will go backwards. That's why I always keep one of these around, just because they're good for doing leaves, and it's nice that they go fast backwards. A lot of lawnmowers you go to Lowe's and stuff and buy, one, they go so slow backwards, it's so frustrating to even go backwards, and two, like they won't even mow in reverse, like you got to disable all those safety switches. Let's get all the leaves off this lawn. Alright, so I was just running this thing probably almost 2 hours, and I got every leaf off the entire yard. I really like this lawnmower. It's nice that it's very fast, both directions. It's nice that you can easily change the speeds. The deck, the way the blades are designed, really blows stuff out very hard. It doesn't clog up, and it really chops up leaves very well. So it was running a little rough at first, but then, you know, just as I ran it, it just cleared right up and was running fine with the choke all the way in. So that's good. This is definitely fixed. Well, it wasn't really broken, but this is definitely ready to be used. And as far as techniques for mowing, you know, it's nice. The forward reverse works fine, but if you can just like start next to a house and just keep circling around it, blowing leaves and everything one direction, that's probably the better way to go. You could never do that in this lawn before for years, and there was always this rock that was right here that stopped lawnmowers from getting through. Like four-wheelers could get through here, but lawnmowers never could. And then probably 3 years ago now, I dug it out with my Yanmar, and it's made this yard so much easier to mow. Alright, so I'm going to kind of end this small engine video now. I could keep finding broken small engine stuff and fixing it forever. You know, I probably fixed at least 6 things in this video, so I figure that's enough. Fixing small engines is a kind of fun thing to do, so that's, you know, for a while after I'd be at work, I'd just come home and probably try to fix at least one thing a night, you know, as far as push mowers or something, because it's so easy to get them. People throw them out all the time. I mean, even a lawn tractor like this, something little will happen to it, and someone will just throw it out. So it's usually easy to get these free or cheap when they're broken. Alright, on to the next job.